My name is Martin O'Neill, and I was Billy's captain for a number of years. So I first met Billy in 1978. He was manager of Mansfield Town, and I was playing for Nottingham Forest. And there was Nottinghamshire County Cup game at the time. But I have to say, before that meeting, I'm quite sure that certainly Billy came into my consciousness, I think about, well, definitely 1959, when he played for Luton Town against Nottingham Forest in an FA Cup final. And the reason that was important to me, because as a 7-year-old, this was the first FA Cup final I saw live in another person's television. We didn't have a TV in our house. It didn't come to much later. Not for 1 minute did I think that I was following Billy's manoeuvres up and down the right wing in 1959. In fact, the only thing I actually remember from that was Luton Town lost the game, but they did score a goal from a short corner, which I'd never heard of before. Well, at 7, you wouldn't. But in 1979, or 78, I should say, I meet Billy, and Billy, manager of Mansfield. The game is over. I'm climbing on the bus to go back to Nottingham, only a distance of about 15 or 20 miles. And I get a tap in the shoulder. Billy, he said, introduced himself, not that he needed to, and he just said that there was a young player playing in Nottingham Forest reserves called Gary Birtles, who wasn't getting a game at all for Nottingham Forest. And did I think that he would have any interest in coming to Mansfield? And would I speak to Gary if that was the case? Well, I said to Billy, yeah, absolutely, I will do. I'll see him tomorrow. And that I will ask him about it. You know, he's desperate to get out and play. So anyway, I did the following day. I asked Gary. He said he would be delighted to come to Mansfield to work with Billy, and that he was going in to see Brian Clough and Peter Taylor the next morning, just to see if he could get away. Well, I don't know what happened, but he did go in to see Brian Clough. Brian Clough changed his mind about him possibly going to meet up with Billy and put him straight into the first team. Within a week, he had scored against Liverpool, and by the end of the year, he had won a European Cup medal. So I phoned Billy up and got him through at Mansfield. I told him about the things. And I think the very fact that I'd made an effort to try and get Gary Birtles to Mansfield, I think possibly resonated with Billy. Anyway, the most important thing is that within a year, the Irish FA make an epoch-changing decision to bring Billy back as manager for the second time. And Billy met up with me, asked me would I be interested in being the captain of the team. This would be a big monumental decision, really, because being an Irish Catholic, first Catholic ever to be in charge of Northern Ireland as a captain. And I was very, very concerned about it because, of course, troubles were rife way back in 1980. But he did say to me, listen, I'll take a little bit of flack for it. He said, but things will change if we start to win some football matches. That will dissipate and completely change. And he said, if we win games, no one will ever discuss it. It was a big thing for me, really, at the end, because he had a number of other excellent candidates he could have chosen from. But the first sign that Billy had what I would call a real strength of character, really strong, opinionated about things, but once he laid it down, he followed it through. And I was delighted, absolutely delighted. Once I was the captain, of course, I was speaking to him about all the things that I should do as a captain, and Billy listened intently to what I said for 10 minutes and did what all great managers do, never paid a blind bit of notice to what I said. Anyway, fast forward then 1980, first game of the World Cup, the qualifying game for the World Cup. Billy at this stage had I think, shown himself, obviously, as has been mentioned before, what a fantastic player he was. But really, what I was impressed with was that he had a bunch of players who were pretty decent players, but Billy was inspirational in the sense that, as David mentioned, this driving will to win. That is something that I think that we had lacked. We'd lacked a bit of discipline. We had a really good manager before in the sense, but really the players that we had at our disposal, we maybe should be doing better. And I have to say that Billy brought all of that into the fore. He was absolutely fantastic. Yes, he had a philosophy really that was, in course, possibly simple. Play to your strengths and hide your weaknesses. No doubt at all about that there. So high press, particularly at Windsor Park, get back into shape when you lose the ball, play for each other, work your guts out during the course of the game, and with a little bit of luck that we can win these games. But it wasn't just luck. It was Billy's, as I said, his focus. He was tactically as shrewd as any coach I've ever worked with. He would be up there today with any one of them. You talk about Guardiola, you talk about these great managers. Billy Bingham was a class apart from that tactically. Really, really terrific. Well, he had to really be, because he was always working out things for us. He got to a stage when he was managing, I think it was probably his experiences abroad that really brought this to the fore. He became, like most managers, a little bit wary of things, a little bit, I wouldn't say distrustful, but, would think about it a little bit more. Suspicious, perhaps, in one sense. And I'll give you an example. Our first game was against Israel in 1980, March of 1980. We arrived in Tel Aviv at the hotel. So we're booking into our rooms. And in each room, as we had, there was a big welcoming brown cake. I don't know whether it was sponge or chocolate, but it was brown and it was fantastic. And it looked inviting. Little message beside, welcome to the hotel, hope you have a great stay. So we're just about to think, oh yeah, we'll dig into this because dinner's not for a couple of hours. Billy has obviously got into his room, has seen the cake in his room, thinks there could be anything in this cake. There could be drugs, there could be anything, there could be performance, losing ability, there could be all of these things. So he races out, goes up each room, knocks in the room, shouts in, don't eat the cake, don't eat the cake, don't eat that cake. So he gets up to 4 or 5 rooms. Unfortunately, by the time he gets up to Tommy Cassidy's room, he knocks on the door and Tommy comes out. His mouth is absolutely squalid. What is it, Billy? Don't eat. You have. And Tommy, he was a great lad. Tommy did like his tucker. There's no question about it. And Tommy, so luckily the cakes were not a problem, and we finally made it through into Spain. I have a lot to thank him for in that sense, not just being the captain of the side, the captain of a great bunch of players. In fact, I think, to tell you the truth, his favourite player is probably Armstrong, Jerry. Well, why wouldn't it be, really? You've just scored the winning goal against Israel to qualify for 1982, and you've just scored in Valencia. So I'll forgive you, Jerry, for being the Billy's favourite player. But obviously Spain was fantastic. The training we had before, Billy had to make sure that you were really, really fit. I hated his training. I absolutely hated it because we would arrive at the Culloden Hotel on a Sunday night, and Monday morning I'd read it because Billy had to put you through your paces because of the Wednesday game. You had to be fit to play. Billy would sacrifice a really good player if he wasn't properly fit Honestly, that was something that you wanted to get through. But anyway, we finally got through the training sessions, and the games were just magical, as David mentions. The David and the Goliath. Every single time we played, it seemed to be exactly that. But an inspirational team talk from him just was exactly what we needed. The tactical moves during the course of the games, things like this here, and the results came. No question about it. It was absolutely fantastic. I did not play in the 1986, but 82 was an unforgettable time for me as captain, and an unforgettable time for the lads here, sitting down here. After 86, I retired myself from the game, and I wish I'd kept in contact with Billy. I didn't really, not that much anyway. He did call me in 1999. He was having a civil case against Blackpool, and he asked me to be sort of a character witness for him up in the courts in Liverpool. I was only too delighted to be up there. I was fearful that I might lose the case for him, because me going up as anybody's character witness wouldn't be fantastic news. But luckily, he won his case, and he just thanked me for being up. I was delighted, and in fact, privileged to be even asked by Billy to be this sort of character witness. Anyway, fast forward, I'm managing Sunderland in 2012. Billy's invited up as a guest of honour for Sunderland. I think we were playing Everton at the same time, so it was a double whammy for him. And obviously, he wasn't fantastic at the time. I started to talk about the 1982. I actually referred to Luton Town and Nottingham Forest, and the short corner that I heard. And Billy actually, amazingly, lit up and said, I was the one that took the short corner. So Billy had actually taken the short corner for Luton to score their goal. Anyway, I just have the utmost regard for, I would consider, one of the great managers in the game. Northern Ireland, Michael has qualified, did fantastically well in 2016, magnificent effort. But Northern Ireland don't qualify for too many World Cups. Billy did it twice in succession, and that is fantastic, plus a couple of British championships. So that era is absolutely prized by us all, and something I'll never forget. All I will say at the end of all of this is that there is a film way back in the 1940s called Casablanca. And for people of my age, and there's not too many in here, may remember the great Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman had this great love affair, and it happened in Paris for them. In the final scene, as they're departing each other, they said, oh, well, we'll always have Paris. Well, I can say, thanks to Billy Bingham, I'll always have Valencia. Thank you very much indeed.